Well, I'm going to take you through a little bit. I'm repairing my wingtip on an ASW-17. It's a pretty old school glider built in 1973 to compete with the Nimbus. It was an open class. It is an open class ship, 20.5 meter, but it was the first generation of the super ships and first generation composites. So in this particular aircraft, they were using, their core material was balsa. As you can see right here, a wingtip light, or a runway light I should say, jumped out and grabbed me on landing, and it came all the way back to the spar and just sort of grabbed onto it and pulled it. So now I got to do a little repair on it, as well as replace my brake, something good. And let me take you through the repair of a wingtip. Luckily out here there's not much load. It's more aerodynamic than anything, so it should be a pretty straightforward fix. Now I've cut out my wingtip here, the damaged area, as you can see, and it's really old school. It's balsa with just a ply on either side, and you can see I still have a little D-lam here and here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill that with resin and bond it back down again, and just pinch it closed, and that'll kind of take care of that. I got a little debond here. I'm going to fill that with resin too, and then I'll stabilize these edges here and then come back and fit my balsa in here. It's interesting how they did the leading edge here. They had a piece of balsa and then filled it with this resin here and then shaped the leading edge, and that's kind of what I'll do. I'll bring the balsa up to about here. I put some clamps on there with some plastic. The plastic keeps the resin from connecting to the metal I got in there, and it'll peel off really nice, and that'll help that little bit of D-lam I have down there. Now I've got my piece all scarfed out. Now I sanded down through the gel coat and into the fiberglass now, and I laid a little bit of scarf. It's only one ply, so it's like very delicate, but there's a lot of gel coat on there, so I think I'll have plenty of room when I lay my ply on top. Now I've scarfed down the edge of the repair here, and then also I've made myself a couple pieces of balsa plugs. I've laid up one layer of glass on the inside of the balsa, and then I'm going to bond these in like this, and I'm going to also do a layup on the inside to cover the gap, and these fit right in here. Then I will sand the balsa to the contour of the wing. So now I've put in my pieces that I cut out. I used a little micro and resin and filled the gap. Put the pieces in, and I also put a layup on the inside. It's hard to see, but it's in there on each piece. A layup that connects this and this. And then all I got left to do is shape. Get the shape. I'm going to plug this top up and then build up a leading edge a little bit later. So now I've sanded my balsa wood to match the conform, so that it conforms with the airfoil. See, it's really nice. Hopefully it's laid down a little bit lower than the original surface, so that when I lay my ply of glass in there, it will stand flush. Now I filled the edge with a little piece of foam here, and I'll bond that in, and then I'm just going to build up a leading edge of high sol and sand that to conform to my leading edge. Now, as you can see, I filled the leading edge up from the foam up with high sol. 9394 is a pretty common composite bonding material. And I laid some clear tape over the top like this, somewhat to the contour, maybe a little, hopefully a little proud. And what I'll be able to do later on is I'll just be able to peel that clear tape off. I'll have myself as kind of finished, and then I'll sand it down to conform to the leading edge, and then fill as necessary. Now I've sanded everything back real smooth. The contour looks real good. Got it nice and even. Looks real nice there, all lined up. And I've left it so there's a little bit of a recess here. This is a little bit lower than what the leading edge is. And hopefully this is a little bit lower than what the top of the gel coat is here. So when I put the one layer of glass on, it'll be up to the surface of the gel coat. All right, next is glass. So I've got my glass all laid out. I just have a couple of real thin garbage bags here that I use for either side. Laid my glass in between. Traced out my pattern that I made for my wing tip. Got my resin and my peel ply. And I'm just going to cut it out. And then I'll just lay it on. And should be good to go. Trying to get resin on here. Want to get it on nice and thick, give it a nice wet surface, but you also don't want it to drip and get all messy. Now I'm taking the plastic off the bottom. I'm going to lay it. I got my center line on here. I'm going to leave the plastic. Now I've laid the layer of glass on there. It's looking pretty nice. I made it nice and resiny. I think I could still use a little bit, maybe right in here. Try to get it nice and thick on there, not too resin heavy. Then I'm going to drop and put my peel ply on. Find the middle of my peel ply. Lay it right down the leading edge there. Okay, I got my peel ply on. It's looking really nice and green and straight across. It's looking pretty nice. And took my squeegee, squeezed it all out, and it's nice and resiny. So now I've sanded and I've filled and filled a little again and sanded again. Now I just got it really nice and smooth. The hand never lies. You can feel it, and I feel smooth. I don't feel any waves. It's all really nicely filled in. Maybe a spot there. When you paint it, it'll really tell you if there are any pinholes or something like that. But that feels darn good. I think it's okay. So sand some more, of course, and then paint. Well, I've painted my tip now. It looks pretty good. As you can see, I'm gonna have to put like another coat on it and probably wet sand it and do some more, buff it out a bit. You can see some pinholes crept through, but not bad. Usually I'll sand it and then I'll fill it again one more time with some Bondo or filler, and a lot of times you can shoot a paint coat on there that'll be like a filler paint and you can sand on that, but I'm not really too concerned about that. My paint's awful thick, so looks good. So I'm down to the paint mode, just finishing up. Got my paint on, and I'm kind of putting a little more paint on the wing tip here, the outboard wing panel. Try to fill in some of that crazing, kind of sanded it down, put some paint on it. Then I got to wet sand it, buff it, wax it, and then I'll be pretty much done. As you can see, the tip turned out pretty nice. Can't even tell it was there, so that's a good sign. And should get her up and fly this March, April, back in the air. And that's my story of an ASW 17 wingtip repair. Yeah, so I'm pretty much done with my wingtip repair. I just wanted to give you an idea of how long this wing is. ASW 17, it's 20 meter wingspan. And this is just one wing, of course. But you can look at it, it fills up most of the hangar. It kind of beats out the 180s in the Cub as far as wingspan is concerned. It is a big wing. It's hard to imagine you fly around with two of them. But boy, I'll tell you, it glides like crazy and goes like a banshee. You can see on the wing there, I've got my water bag to load up my ballast laid out and kind of looking at those. Still working on a dump system for those. And yeah, getting ready for spring. It's still snowing, but that's the way winter goes. Looking forward to the spring.